Hi everyone, 6 o'clock here, so we'll get started in a few minutes. Just gonna let keep an eye on how many people are viewing and see if we get a few more before we actually start the presentation. This should be fairly quick with just a quick update, so we're ready to go on Monday. Just gonna give it a few more minutes, a couple more minutes maybe. All right, looks like we're about 3 minutes in, so we'll get started here. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining the winter sports parent meeting. And this is also open to students. Obviously, it's live on YouTube. So just wanted to get everyone up to speed so we're ready to go for the start of winter sports on Monday. And we do intend to start on Monday. Of course, there's always a chance for a postponement or to move things back a little bit. But as of now, the South Shore League and Middleborough High School are planning on starting on Monday. The first slide here, as most of you probably already know, hopefully you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, and reading the newsletter. Usually we send a newsletter out on the beginning of each month, usually around the 1st. I just sent one out today as kind of a supplement, a winter sports update, in addition to the December newsletter that went out earlier this month. So please, most of the stuff I'm going to go over tonight is in that newsletter that goes out to everybody, all the student and parent emails that we have in our Aspen. So make sure that you're going through that as well. Athletics registration has been open for a while now for the winter season, but if you're not registered yet, you still have time to do that. So make sure you get in on Family ID through the Middleborough Athletics website. It's just middleborough.k12.ma.us/athletics. Additional requirements for registration are physical within 13 months and the impact test. The impact test will be emailed to the student's school email once we receive the registration. So that comes from Mary Farley. It has to be done at home remotely. We can't do it at the school. We just don't open the computer labs up due to the pandemic. So still some time to do that. Already talked about the impact test and the the physical. Also, everybody does need to be academically eligible. So if students will be notified if they're registered and not eligible to practice. User fees, a little different this season. They are not due until December 18th. I'm sorry, that date is incorrect. It should say December 18th, not October 18th. My apologies for that. That's the Friday after the first week of sports. So the first week starts next week. We have tryout period for some of the basketball teams. Most of the winter sports are non-cut sports, but the basketball teams, we do anticipate the potential for making some cuts. So we're waiting until the end of that first week for the user fees to be due. So please wait until then to pay the user fee. Individual fee is $175. The individual cap is $350. So if you've already competed in the fall, then you just have that additional $175 to pay for the winter, and then any season after that would be at no cost. The family cap is $450. So if you've already reached that or are close to that, you just pay the $175, then the $175 again, and then the last fee is only $100 for a family cap of $450. So important dates, and this is taken right from the newsletter. Obviously, our meeting that's going on right now and is also recorded, so you can refer back to it if necessary. Monday, December 14th is the start date for winter sports, practices, and tryouts. I'm going to go over the listings right now that are in the newsletter. So starting on Monday, we have boys and girls indoor track, which is a practice-only sport for the winter. Okay, so we are still allowing them to practice, even though their competitive season doesn't start until fall 2. They're going to be in the MHS gym from 2 to 3:30. Girls varsity and JV basketball is going to be in the MHS gym from 4 to 5:30. That's all grades 9 through 12. Boys varsity basketball is only going to be grades 11 and 12 for the tryout period, and that's from 6 to 8 p.m. on Monday in the MHS gym. Boys JV basketball, grade 10 only, will meet at the MEC gym from 6 to 7:30. Boys freshman basketball will be at the MEC gym from 4 to 5:30, and that's 9th graders only. Boys and girls varsity swimming and diving, grades 7 through 12, will be at the Birkeland pool from 3 to 5 p.m. Those middle schoolers that are signed up for swimming and diving with the high school team are going to be allowed to take bus 13 from Nichols Middle School over to Birkeland on their in-person days. So we do have a transportation option for them. Just wanted to make note of that, and I'll talk a little bit more about transportation in a minute. Varsity ice hockey, we have their ice times all next week, 3 p.m. at Bridgewater Ice Arena, 3 to 3:50. And that's, again, open to grades 8 through 12. Varsity gymnastics is a cooperative team with Carver High School. They're going to be meeting at Carver Middle School gym, 4:30 to 5:30 on Monday. Nichols Middle School, we have boys middle school basketball starting on Monday, 3 to 4:30 p.m. at the Nichols Middle School gym, and then girls middle school basketball 5 to 6:30 in the middle school gym. As of right now, there is going to be a tryout period for majorettes for featured twirlers. But we do not have the team starting up practices until the fall 2 season. And anyone who's interested in trying out for the majorettes featured twirling positions should reach out to Coach Lorraine Frawley, and her information is on the website. And actually, if you look through the newsletter, every coach has their information, has their email address listed in the newsletter and also on the website. So for real specific questions regarding practice schedules and things like that, make sure you get in touch with them. They can give you more information there. One really key point is, actually, we're going to go right into, let's hold off on that first. Individual team meetings. Initially, this meeting was scheduled for next week, which didn't really make much sense as the preseason meeting. So individual teams will hold their virtual parent meetings next week and virtual team meetings next week. Once we get things sorted out and teams decided, they'll schedule those within their own stakeholders. Friday, December 18th, we talked about the user fees due, and then Friday, January 7th is really the first date that we have for competition, and that is so we have a little bit of time between now and then, obviously. Points of emphasis for COVID-19. Really, we have to think about this the same way we think about going to school. It's all that we have to follow all the same rules: face coverings all the time, cleaning and disinfecting of equipment. Students will have some responsibility in cleaning their own space on the bench, and also with cleaning equipment. We also get a huge amount of support from our custodial staff that'll be helping in between groups, especially game days and things like that. Hand hygiene and hand sanitizer being used all the time. Physical distancing, we need that 6 feet of space as much as possible throughout whatever activity that we're participating in. Water bottles is very important. Everybody needs to have their own water bottle and really should come with it pre-filled. There are some areas where they can refill, but ideally they have a large water bottle that they can keep at every practice and game with their gym bag and with their stuff all together in one spot. So everybody really has their own personal items, their own personal space, and whatever activity that we're doing. And the coaches are going to manage exactly what that looks like for each individual sport. Currently, the league, South Shore League and Middleborough is going with no spectators for our games. We're still a month away. We are going to revisit that. But right now, just in order to open safely and start winter sports safely, we're going with no spectators to start with games. Transportation, only 25 per bus. So for certain teams, that means that there's going to be additional buses at different times. So, for example, basketball team usually travels with JV and varsity at the same time. The varsity waits for their game to start in the gym, watching the game. Those types of things won't happen. Those two teams will ride separately just to have as much spacing as possible. Sorry. And then the sport rule modifications, that's going to be each individual sport has a number of different modifications made to be able to play the sport as safely as possible. Those are all listed, again, in the newsletter, and coaches have been working to make sure they can prepare properly for those modifications and communicate them properly to their students that they're coaching during the season. So important there. Before we get into those game schedules and notifications, I did want to just make note of the daily logistics section in the newsletter. Make sure you pay close attention to that. Biggest points there are transportation to and from practices and games. So with any games or practices that start after 3 p.m., we're really asking high school students especially, and especially those underclassmen that don't drive, they need to take their regular scheduled bus home and go back home and then get a ride back to practice wherever it might be. Basketball teams at times are going to be at the MEC. At times they're going to have 4 or 6 p.m. practices here at the high school, and we really can't have kids in and around the building while they're waiting for that practice time to start. So unfortunately, that has to be kind of navigated from home and how they're going to get back to school safely in order to get to their practice. The other big piece with the daily logistics is locker rooms. The locker rooms are open for changing and for use of the bathrooms, but we really want to instill in everybody the mentality of show up, play or practice, and then leave. There's not going to be any lockers issued. There's not going to be anybody storing equipment in the locker room. And really, ideally, they're coming prepared for practice so they don't even have to change in the locker room, even on game days. Obviously, there's going to be some extenuating circumstances. They are available there to go in, do what you have to do, and then come back out. But we don't want groups of students congregating in the locker room using that facility. It's just not the best way to go about business, so we're trying to be as safe as possible. One question that came up about the spectators I've seen already, I'll just address it now. Will the games be live streamed? The plan is to live stream every game, freshman, JV, and varsity. If we're able to do that, certain facilities we are able to do that easier. We have a camera that in the MHS gym, so events that happen in the MHS gym will be able to be live streamed all the time. Most of the other varsity teams most of the other schools have the same technology in their gym. So games that happen in the gym with basketball will be able to be live streamed. Swimming, ice hockey, We're going to have to figure that out and work through it a little bit more. We're working on it. We intend to live stream the games, but it does have to be something that we work through a little bit more. The schedules and updates. The schedules are still being finalized. As you can imagine, there's been a lot of shifting and changing of things throughout the weeks leading up to the season. What we have on there is posted as of now, and then it can be viewed through the app, through the MIA app. If you don't have that, you can get there and download that, and also sign up for schedule notifications. And then the Middleborough Athletics website is where it just redirects you to the MIA site. So that's how you get to view the schedules. Practice schedules will be distributed by individual team coaches. I did post the practice schedule for the first week in the newsletter, so you can see that. There's a lot of questions about tryouts versus practice. They're one and the same. So the tryouts start on Monday for those teams that are making cuts, and they're going to, as much time as they need to determine who makes the team. Could be 2 days, could be 3 days. In general, it's usually 3 or 4 days or that first week before they set the team. It just really depends how many people come out. Right now, we expect some of those numbers to go up, but we don't intend to make too many cuts this winter. But the practice schedules will be distributed by the coaches. Should be at the high school level, especially varsity level. Families should be expected to be practicing and playing games 5 to 6 days a week. Again, coaches' contact information is all listed in the newsletter and on the website, so reach out to them directly with sport-specific and team-specific questions. Injuries and athletic training. Same slide as you've seen in the past. We have the luxury here in Middleborough of a full-time athletic trainer, Mary Farley. She does a great job taking care of the athletes and as a contact person when someone does sustain an injury, particularly a serious injury, a break, anything that has to go to the hospital, but also the concussion protocols and taking people through those when those injuries occur. For those minor injuries, I encourage you to have your son or daughter see the athletic trainer first before you make that the decision to go to the doctor. Or to go to the emergency room. A lot of times she can diagnose the injury and treat the injury without having to go through that process and even get them back on the field sooner. A lot of times when you do go to the doctor or to the emergency room, it's an automatic 2 weeks out for something that maybe didn't need to be that way. So she's there for that reason. So if you need that service, make sure you see her. Also, just in terms of physicals and getting those turned in, Mary does a great job kind of managing that side of the eligibility. So if you do need an updated physical, you can email that directly to her or upload it to the Family ID profile. I always like to talk about priorities of the student athlete. Obviously, our health and family is number one and most important, especially under these circumstances. Those are always excused absences. Academics is the very next priority, and daily attendance is important, especially with remote learning. That attendance is being checked. The daily attendance for in-person days is always being checked, and so coaches are aware if students aren't attending their classes and they're not eligible to practice or play on those days. So really important that they're getting to those remote classes and obviously getting to school when they're supposed to be in person. And then the next priority is team. It's a huge commitment to participate in athletics at the high school level. The expectation is you're at every practice, every game. Work, family vacations, things like that are not considered excused absences. It's really, unless it's a health situation or an academic situation where they're going to get extra help or something like that, they really need to be committed to whatever the team's doing for that day, whether it's a practice or a game. Again, I'll reiterate, the coaches are going to be scheduling team meetings, virtual meetings with parents in the coming weeks in preparation for the season, and reach out to them if you have specific questions. Also want to just talk about MASBA for a minute. We had a really successful fundraiser given the circumstances in the fall. Our fall athletes raised somewhere in the range of almost $7,000 for our athletic department. That money all goes to the Booster Association and back to the athletes in many different forms. But this group of people meets on a monthly basis. And really the entire focus is to plan to make sure we give our student athletes what they need. And also to keep our user fees low. We have one of the lowest user fees in the area, if not the lowest, and especially with the individual cap and the family cap. And so in order to keep those user fees low, we supplement the athletics budget by fundraising. And this group's done a great job with that, and our student athletes and families have done a great job with that. So we are in the process of starting a fundraiser for the winter. We haven't rolled that out yet, but there's information to come on that with the students and the teams. Just different things, over $90,000 raised in the past 2 years, 14 additional coaching positions, uniforms, athletic equipment, audio-visual equipment, and really anything that they can do to support the program. So it's a really important group, and make sure when those fundraisers do roll out that you're encouraging your students to participate as much as possible. That's really all I have at this point. I'm going to stay on for a few minutes and just see if any questions come up through Facebook or any of the other venues. I'm just watching the comment section here. Again, if you haven't seen it already, make sure you do look at the newsletter that went out this afternoon. It's also all of the newsletters and past newsletters are posted on the website. So it's linked right there. When you go to the athletics page on the website, there's a tab for newsletters. And in case you want to reference anything from past months or past seasons, or even earlier this season, the user fee refund policy is in there, and it's something to take a look at because it is a little bit different than what we've done in the past with all the different seasons. The fall too, we're planning on rolling over user fees rather than rolling over a user fee to the next season rather than issuing a refund right away. And then if it doesn't get used, we would issue the refund at the end of the year prior to July 1. So definitely something to take a look at there. One clarification I do want to make with paying the user fees, where they're not due until Friday, but the user fee cannot be paid on Family ID. And there's a section on Family ID that tracks how much you owe for your user fee, and that's a part of the registration process that we can't remove on our end. So it does have to be paid through Unibank if you're paying online. It can't be paid on Family ID. So just a clarification there. Also, when you pay on Unibank, make sure you're clicking Middleborough Public Schools Athletics, not clicking on Town of Middleborough. That's a different. You won't be able to find the payment portal for athletics if you're clicking on Town of Middleborough. Couple questions on hockey. We did not have the slide for the MIG group this week or this meeting. That's our other booster association that is devoted strictly to hockey, and the middle school program, the Chiefs, and the high school varsity program here, which they do a ton of fundraising to make sure the hockey team gets what they need. Their website, middleboroughhockey.com, has all their upcoming fundraisers listed up there, so that's the best way to get them and to support that group. So make sure you visit that as well. There was a question that came up about hockey practice for the no practice on 12/13. Touch base with the coach. That's the schedule I have from the ice rink. That ice rink schedule is constantly changing with the circumstances we're dealing with. So we have a 3 o'clock ice time 4 out of 5 days next week, is my understanding. If that changes, then make sure, just make sure, you're in communication with the coach, the hockey coach, Coach Drevich or Coach Chamberlain. Okay, again, thank you. I'm not seeing any more comments, so hopefully everybody got the newsletter. And if you have questions, always feel free to reach out with an email or phone call. And we're looking forward to the winter season. It should be exciting. We have a full slate of games. Again, the schedules are being finalized, but we do have a league game followed by our league schedule followed by a league tournament in each of our sports. So something to look forward to. So I guess lastly, stay safe, stay active, and look forward to the winter season. Thanks.